Okay, 3:30. Here we are, Trade Ideas Live Q&A, Monday, November 15th, 2021. Give everybody a chance to pile in here, and we'll get the ball rolling on today's session. So again, I always leave this as an open forum. I like when you guys have the questions, but if not, I'll do what I can to generate some content, make it educational, try to keep it interesting, hopefully relevant. Plenty to go over, as always. Click around a few Holly alerts here while I wait for people to come in. Looks like she's back to her normal self. Maybe she had the flu last week. I'm not sure. Some excellent stuff coming out of her today again. All about that trade management, though. I'll tell you what. Oh, laser, that thing just plugged away today. Beautiful short gap down and go here. Let's see, what do we have here? Nice entry right there. Beautiful. Really good alerts today. Just wow. So again, please fire away. You guys have questions? If not, just clicking around a few different Holly alerts, and I'll get us rolling on maybe something different here, building scans or going over the back test or the optimizer, something like that. Yeah, that's what this is here for. Memphis, it's an open Q&A. I prefer if you guys ask the questions, more software related, obviously, than anything else. But that's what I do this for, is to try to get people some more education, get their value out of Trade Idea subscriptions. I'm also here for anybody that's kicking the tires. They're interested in trade ideas, want to know what we can do, what it looks like. How can I get my scanner to not lose her mind at 9:30? Feel like it's overwhelming. Don't load it at 9:30. No, I'm just teasing. So a couple of different things you can do here. You can right click a scanner and come to properties, come to don't repeat. All right. And select don't repeat. And you could select it don't repeat for a period of time here. All right. Use the don't repeat function. Just know the don't repeat function doesn't work in history. So that way, if let's say you've got one ticker and it's showing up, 15 times in the first 2 minutes, maybe you don't want to see it, for 5 minutes again. So it'd be one of my suggestions. My second suggestion is we have a time of day filter. So unless you're really trading those early alerts, like I don't trade early alerts. So if we come to the configure of my scan here that I use for this, I have a time of day filter in here. See time of day, and I'm not starting until 15 minutes after the market opens. I don't start scanning on that. And so you can find that here in the search. Time of day. All right. You can go ahead and click that. You'd add that, and by hitting add, it'll bring you to the window specific filter, and you can give it a value. It's done in minutes. So, you can say for a scanner to run from X time to Z time, or you could just say don't start running till after X time. So that's another option for you there. My other suggestion, would be is you cannot run a scanner at the open. So you could have a layout that you like that's maybe a little looser than most layouts, in the sense that you don't have a lot in it. And as the day goes, you can load different things from the cloud or from however you're saving it. So you could say, well, I got a scan that I don't really like to look at till after 10 o'clock. And so I don't want it looking at any data, and I just want it to load after 10 o'clock and load from cloud, and then load that scanner, from the cloud like that. Those would be my big suggestions to you: that don't repeat, the time of day, and load the scanner, a little bit after that time. The last suggestion is just completely reworking the scanner, but, by doing so, you're going to change the dynamic of the scanner throughout the entire day, not just the open. So, all right, but thank you. I'll take as that was helpful for you. And any other questions you have, Memphis? This is what I'm here for. There's never a lot of people in here. It says there's 5 people watching right now. I never know if that's an accurate number or not. So, um, I want to get people the best that we can, the best education that we can. That's why we do a second live Q&A here. All right. And then, play with that don't repeat too. And just, I don't know if you're aware of this. If you change anything with the scanner during the day, it's like resetting the scanner for the day. So it'd be like it's going from minute 0 again too. So if you have data that you like to save in it, just make sure you don't do that until, you know, until you've got that data that you're looking for. So, all right. So that's that. Sorry, just following a chat that's going on here internally for us. So that's the short and skinny of that. So I'm just put a brief mention on Holly there. I'll kind of let that rest for now. And let's see. What can we move into here? We were trying to play around, messing with some scanning last week, creating some stuff. Wasn't working out quite the way I hoped. I was hoping we'd build something that we could all kind of take a look at as a template and move forward. Um, One of the things we get asked a lot is about crossovers, different moving average crossovers. We come to an alert window here in the configure. We have some crossovers, but the issue is that most of these have a volume confirmation in them, especially the SMA ones that just can't be removed. It's hard coded in, and removing that hard code of those, unfortunately, is not a straightforward thing for developers and coders to do. So these don't always work the best because the alerts come late. But one workaround I always talk about for a crossover is we still have all the SMAs as data points. And so for anybody that was looking to attempt to create some kind of crossover alert, we could always come into the Windows specific filters here. Let's just get rid of some of the stuff to start with here. All right, and let's search. And we could search for the SMAs that we have. And then we can go from there and decide, well, what are we looking to cross over? We have to work with what we have from in here on the different time frames. But, someone might be looking for, let's say, a 200-day crossing, a 50 SMA, for example, on a daily chart. So we could add that 200 SMA. We're just going to give a random value right now. Come back and we can look for that 50 SMA. All right. And we're going to give that a random value for a moment here. All right. And we can start to play with it on a chart to see how close we can get. So we're going to go, got the base of this started with those SMAs added. I'm going to move this over here, and I'm going to bring up a chart, a new chart, so we can look at how close we might be able to get this crossing here, and then return us some ideas that maybe we want to put on a watch list. So let's make sure we got a daily chart, time frame, daily. We're going to check out the indicators here. All right, let's edit. We've got a 20 SMA. Let's get a 50 instead. All right, let's get rid of these guys, remove. And let's make this a 200. All right, so now we've got the SMAs that we want. All right. And now we just have to get the scan to look for what we want. All right, so let's take a look here. Come back to the configure, and we've got the two filters, the main two filters that we want to work with here. Change from 200 and a change from 50. And this is going to be some guess and check work here. So I want to see that the 50 is under the 200. I want to see it's all coming below the price action, maybe, or coming from below the price action. So start here on the 200, and let's say that we're at 0. All right, and let's say we're at minus 1% right now on the 50 SMA. All right, and let's see where that gets us on these alerts that are coming through, these ideas that are coming through. Okay, so we can see here that we're looking at this pretty far distance wise, so maybe 1% is a little too much to go on. Make this nice here and even on the color scheme. Sort, so we can organize the data here. So what I'm doing is organizing the data by the sort from the server with the colors. And there we go. Nice even schematic here. Let's click through some of these, see how far we are away on all those. Because like I said, this is going to be some guess and check work, all right? We're pretty far on some of these, it's looking like, all right? And again, if someone has questions, fire them away for me here. And those that are just joining, what I'm trying to do is create a scan that's showing the 20 SMA on a daily chart approaching the 50, so we can find things that are close. 50 SMA approaching the 200, so you can find things that are close to, what do they call it, a golden cross, I think that's the name. All right, so we're looking pretty far. So we're going to come back in here. We're going to try some new values. All right. And so all we were working with was minimum and maximums. Let's go with some minimum stuff here. So we don't want to see this more than 1% above, right? So this show me function will tell me, show me stocks where the price is at least 1% above. The price is below. The price is at. I'm going to reverse this here. I want to be a maximum of 1. So price is no more than 1% above. Is at. We don't see too far below here. What's our limit? Let's see if we're let's go with minus 3%. It's no more than 3% below that 200 SMA. All right, so we're working with that for there. We need this to come up a little bit. So let's see. Let's go with a minus 0.5% here. And let's see how that returns some different ideas to us now. List instant updates. All right, now we got the 20 above it, but they're closer for sure. That's crossing on the wrong side, but it's crossing all the same. We're much closer to what we were looking for than before. All right, that's below it, but the 200 sloping up. All right, but we're much closer overall now. Let's come back in here. And let's see. At 50 SMA. Holly's firing away there on all of her exits. Sorry, I guess I didn't save it properly before we had it at 20. So, this is looking much better now. Things are much closer. Now that's not too bad. All right, so there we have, we just crossed here. All right. Perhaps that's something we could be interested in, although it's traded no shares whatsoever. 5,000 shares on the day. But now we know we're in the ballpark of what we want. And this is going to return us everything perfectly. But the idea is to get something that is in the ballpark of what we want, and maybe something we could scan with after hours for setups moving forward and create some kind of watch list, watch list that says, close to the 200 SMA or close to the 50 crossing 200, close to a golden cross, whatever you want to call it. So sorry, just clicking through these to get an idea based on different price action too here, price levels. What we are looking at. So, all right, we want to bring that down a little bit still on the 50 SMA, I think, overall. So we're looking at right now, we're telling it to look at price at least that much below. Let's set it at a max of 1.5 above. Let's check out a -3 here for a max on the below it as well. Let's see how that returns things to us. So some similar names still coming through here. They're kissing right there. Okay, the 20's below it. But if we get that price action moving up, we can get that crossing back up again. Sorry, I keep saying the 20, I mean the 50. And again, if anybody has questions what we're doing here, we're trying to create a top list that is looking at stocks where the 50 SMA is near crossing up on the 200 SMA. So now it's returning us a lot of names as well. So maybe we see we're close here. Definitely some idea generation going on. Not quite all the way where we want, but I also think we maybe want to get rid of some of these not so great alerts here. Well, maybe now we're looking at something in a position that's moving up. Let's see, a position in, and it's a big jump from 20 to 3 months, but let's try a 20-day range. Let's add that filter. Let's see if that helps us. I still feel like we need this 20 SMA to come down a little bit more. Let's go with the 1% maximum here. So we're using actually the same values in those filters. And still getting a few similar results, but we can see we tightened it up, so there's a few less results that are actually coming now. And remember, we're looking for something very specific on this cross here on the daily chart. So there's only so many stocks that are going to meet that criteria of the SMAs to start with. All right. All right, some work, some don't. Again, it's not an exact here. We don't have an alert specifically for this, but just trying to come up with something, putting some values in, shooting in the dark here on this. Some of it will be relative to what the price is. It'll also be relative to what its position range is, how far the price has fallen over different periods of time, or how much it's risen over different periods of time. We'll keep adding and changing around some values here. We'll loosen one way and we'll tighten the other way still. Let's say we're going to be using this after hours type of scan. All right, so let's get a minimum volume in here. We're moving into last inside 9 minutes before the close. Let's see if stocks have traded 500K. This should really tighten this list up, I think. And, like I said, some of these are meeting it, some isn't. I'd like to get a little closer with some of these. Take that position and range filter away since we added a volume filter. Kindred Morgan. And they're fighting with each other, so crossing perfect there. 20 is just above on that one, so it's going to vary on the price of the stocks as well as partially the price of the stocks, but more the movement. Before I share this, I'd like to get a little closer here. I'm trying to get a feel for some of this here. Perhaps. Loosening up that 200 more. How are you, my friend? Boy, sure finding more of the 50 crossing under. And keep going the other way with these, trying to get it closer. Yeah, just crossed. Starbucks. Let's go with a -4 here. No more than 4% below. Let's go with a -0.25. The OIH. And of course, if anybody has anything to interject here, please do so. Just curious if I come the other way with this now. I feel like we're going the wrong way on what I was doing. There we go. That looked nicer. Back to the other side. There we go. Those are turning some better stuff here, I feel like. A little better. All right, now we're finding some stuff where the 50 is more below the 200. So we can get that a little tighter. So we said this was a good one here. No. That looked good. That looks better. There we go. All right, I think we moved it in a pretty good direction here. It's got all these stocks have traded at least 500,000 shares on the day. We're finding much more where the 50 is actually below the 200 now. And let's just open this up just in case the set record count isn't high enough. We're at 100. Nah, it should be plenty of room. I don't think there's more than 100 stocks that are going to meet the criteria of this. So, all right, now we got a couple of options with this. All right, we've got some stuff that's pretty close here. Some of the ones that are far away. Again, it's going to have to do with some of the price action that's happened more recently. That's a pretty good one. So, all right, the first thing I'm going to do is going to share this out. Let's configure. I'm going to call it a close to a 50, 200 cross. All right, right click, save and share to cloud, save and share it, copy and paste. So anybody that's interested in that scan now has it if they like. Now, if you wanted to convert this into an alert window, you can attempt to. The problem is coming up with the alert event that's going to work best for that. But we'll do it as an exercise just for fun. I kind of covered this the other day with the collab feature and multi-windows. But if we just take any alert window, it doesn't matter right now. We'll just start with this here. It's just a new, defaulted to be whatever it is. And bring it over here. We're going to right click and we're going to use the collab feature. So we're going to come down here, collaborate. I'm going to copy this URL. We were trying to build something that's looking for stocks that are close to a 50 SMA crossing up on a 200 SMA on a daily chart. So I created a top list that has some good looking alerts or some good looking charts, some not so good looking charts. And then I'm showing how we could turn it into an alert window. It's not going to alert the cross, but it can give us, some things to work around here. So, so there's the collab feature. There's a collab link. We're going to come in here to collaborate. We're going to get rid of what's in here. All right. And we're going to paste in what we just built in that. Now, this is essentially an alert window, but it only has the filters in it. It doesn't really have an alert. It's got the heartbeat for an alert. So we could do that. We could leave that like that, of course. Or we can come in searching here for an alert that we might think is relative to what we're trying to do. I'm not sure that there is one necessarily, but perhaps crossed above resistance. And remember, this isn't going to return very many things because how many stocks are going to be close to that kind of cross in what we're looking at? But all the same, we can go with maybe crossed above resistance here. So we can add that alert, get rid of the heartbeat, hide those unused. All right, it's got the same name because we name transferred over in the collaboration. All right, and so put this out. And let's get time. There's no time on the columns. So columns, time. Let's see, we don't need. We don't need the volume percent today. All right, we'll order the columns. I like time, symbol, price in that order. And let's look at the history. Let's just go through all and let's see what we got. And since more of going to be on a daily chart, these alerts, we move that daily chart just like that. So we can see here, we had a few alerts actually come through today. And look at some of these charts here. All right, so might be something we want to put on a list to watch. If this 50 SMA can start to crawl back up on that 200. All right, so we just crossed back here. So perhaps this is something to watch, and we can see got that cross, got a big spike. All right, revision to the mean. Maybe that's going to be something interesting to watch moving forward. Let's see what else. Quite a few alerts from today, actually. I'm surprised. Taiwan Semiconductor. This might be one to watch. Interesting. Stuck in a range. We know semiconductors have been a market leader for a long time, so this one's lagging the sector for sure. Take a look at one or two more of these here, and I'll share this out too. All right, so here's one where unfortunately that the 200 is below that 50. Johnson & Johnson, and just gave up that, but it might come back around. Texas Instruments. Not what we want to see there. So as I said, it's not an exact because of the way the price action on some of these stocks have been and how fast they've fallen on some of them, but haven't caught or how far above the 200 SMA they were. Well, we found a few ideas in here anyways. And you guys can always take it and play with it even more. So you have the base of it from that top list. Electronic Arts, interesting. Open Media. I just made the cross back here. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and share this right out. Let me take it off history before I share it. And we'll save and share. There you go. So you guys can add that to your arsenal of cloud scans. Which I'd see it in the cloud here. Perfect. So now you could take that same concept and you can apply it to if you wanted to look for crosses on different time frames. You're just going to pick those SMAs that you want to work with. We worked with the 200 and a 50 today. You start putting in values. You're going to bring up a chart that's relative to those specific SMAs and work it from there with those values. Maybe someone's a little more of a math whiz than me, might be able to do a little better than that than myself. I think the other thing that plays a big role in that is maybe a change in filter we could look at. So change, over maybe some of these days and looking at how fast something fell or rose during those days. Maybe a change in 20%. Just out of curiosity, what would happen if we added this? I'm going to put a 5% change in 20 days, just out of curiosity. And that really took away some. I wonder if the alerts are a little quality in here. Well, all with the 50 below the 200 so far. Interesting. I think that's a direction to look at, a change in that time frame. Not necessarily the 20-day, but definitely return some interesting looking charts there as far as the 50 being below the 200 SMA on that. See how this plays a role here. Invesco. That's very interesting looking for a SPAC. Kellogg's. So, all right. Might be something, some food for thought for when you are all building your own scans. So, all right, well, let's see, we're at 408. Hopefully, you guys found that informative. Just a few of you in here, but all the same, hopefully, that's something to give you food for thought for any kind of scan building and how to think outside the box, maybe a little bit, given the data that we have. Go ahead and get rid of that chart. Talk about Holly for a moment at the very beginning. Why I'm always big on the man and machine, and I'll show you right now. That's why. What a great alert. But imagine letting this happen. Imagine having share size so you were up somewhere around 500 bucks and then let that happen. A travesty. I like messing around with new scans. I mean, I do it because I just enjoy building scans for fun more than anything else. Yeah, exactly. Someone like Barry, he's got his arsenal of scans. They work well for him. They work for his trading style and all that. I think when you're a new user and you're still trying to figure out what the software is capable of, and possibly B, if you're not just a new user but maybe newer on the side of trading, trying to figure out who you are as a trader still. So maybe playing with scans helps you, to see charts in a different way. So yeah, no harm in building nonstop scans. I messed around this weekend with the scan. Back tested kind of cool. I don't know that it'll really translate to anything, but I was, using that filter that I created for looking for crosses on 520. Let's see how it looks here. I don't want to look at the real early alerts because they're irrelevant. Yeah, that wasn't so great. Interesting. Got it at the same price that the AI bought it at. Happy coincidence. That ends up being a nice alert for the day. EKE 5008. Grinder on the day. 45. This was all over the place. This is a tough one here. Wow. Well, this is something I was actually watching all through here and then did that and it got away from me. Interesting. So there was money in here, but kind of tough. GBT. There's a decent alert off that. 1547. Nope, that was not a good alert. Caught it well after on the fall. 15. Yeah, caught it way up here. We saw blink early, so the later blink is not going to be any better. Tilray. Yeah. Well, just as I thought with the scan, it really doesn't work well in the afternoon anyways, so. I can share the scan, but you have to know custom filters in order to do it. So if anybody wants to scan and is familiar with customs, I can share the custom if you want. Let's see, file, tools, custom, formula editor. I have not used this new function yet. Very much. Cross fives on the 15. All right, so if anybody wants that scan, you have to use the custom formula. So copy. That's the custom formula that you'll have to put in there. It's called cross on the fives. All right. Here's the actual scan. And this will not work without that custom. So there's the scan, but now you need to know the values of the custom. All right, and here are your values on that custom. So we can take a look at it here. Not too much going on in the scan. I really didn't optimize it almost at all. This is what you need, that 520 cross, minus 0.1 in the minimum and a minus 0.02 in the maximum. And that'll get you close to that cross that we're looking for on the chart. And just to give you an idea of what I did with the scan, so I wanted to change from open that was not real far off below the open, had to have gapped up on the day, got to have a $1.25 trading range in the last 5 days, and can't be more than 0.5% below the VWAP for the day. And then just to show how back tested, I won't let it start till 5 minutes after 10 my time. It ends at noon, so it's a very short time that it's working. It's a 45-minute hold on it, and it has also a 4.25% profit target. No stop loss. The whole time is going to be your stop loss. And we're going to simulate the buy, and this is what I got with it over the weekend. And the reason I don't optimize it too much is because I ran into a different scan similar to this that I optimized unbelievably and turned out to be so far garbage in forward testing. Nope, no characteristic. I'm trying to build a cross alert scan essentially, but doing it outside of doing it with what we have to work with. So no specific stock. Just I was looking for. I mean, if I had my way, and there's no, like I said, there's no magic scan, there's no magic cross, there's no magic indicator. But if I had my way, we had an 8 EMA crossing a 20 SMA, but I could program it a little more. That's what I'd really want. We have one in the Market Explorer, but it's not what I would be looking for in an 8 EMA crossing a 20 SMA. We don't have the EMA. So I chose a 5 SMA and a 20 SMA to work with. And that's what that custom formula is about in that. So this is what it tested like. Some big days, some big win days, some big lose days too. So days where it doesn't trade whatsoever. The only other thing that appealed to me is it only had 2 losing days in a row over a 65-day back test. So I'm going to run it for a while and just see what happens moving forward with it. What I find to be really interesting is the fact that some of its better days were not on days where the market was making all-time highs. We've had it making all-time highs back here, and it had some okay days, but it also had some not winning days. Not that they were terrible either. So anyways, we'll test it like that and see what happens. I have not played with the new way that we can get into the formula editor. The way I use the formula editor is always off our website. But for those that don't know, if you're on the new dev build, the beta, I'm sorry, not dev build, the newest beta, if you come to tools and you come to formula editor, you can build stuff in here. So we create a new U20 would be new for me, I think. So like I said, I haven't messed with this much in here. And you can see my numbers are all over the place from all the different ones that I built, different formulas that I put in and put out. Most of the custom formulas that I do just have to do with troubleshooting user scans. So I have to take a custom from them to troubleshoot what their scan is. So I don't have anything special in the custom formulas to share with you guys. That one that I made for that 5, this is it here, that 520 cross. So, whoops, nope. So that's that there. Let's see, graphics, format, units, interesting, okay. Where do I go for ideas on custom formula coding? You'd have to come to on our web page. So if you come to, doesn't matter where you are on this. Let me shrink this down so it's more appropriate for the resolution of the screen. If you go to login here, now what's the harm? If you go to login here and you come to custom formulas on here, okay, it'll bring up this page here. Now yours will look different because I'm guessing you won't have as many custom formulas in there as I do. And like I said, there's no special formulas in here. These are things that I help, do for people. There's nothing magic. And you come down here and there's 2 different documents. One is this help PDF. So you could open that in a new link, a new tab. All right. And this is going to go over an overview of the custom formula editor here. All right. What can and can't be done. All right. It talks about graphics and things like that, what the icons mean, unit descriptions. All right. We have to have the source of the code already. You can't just willy-nilly create something. I wish you could. It has to exist within the system. The graphics, for example, for Cone and things like that. So if we took, sorry, let me pull this off here. And let's get rid of that. So for example, if we add volume today filter as a as a column here. Let's see if I got this in here. Volume today percent. I'm sorry, I'm looking for. Search volume. Today. Add show column. Okay. You're going to see this cone here. That's the cone. That's the graphic. So that's what it talks about here as a cone in the graphic. You don't have to select a graphic. All right. But in the editor itself, when you come to tools, formula editor, you come to graphic, you have a position and range, triangles, none. All right. You can also do it from here inside the formula editor. If we were just to come here to edit one of these, again, graphic, cone, or position and range. So I guess they're calling it triangle in the new way we're doing it. And your position range is going to give you percent essentially, where the cone is showing you this here, this cone. All right. And when it's approaching and it's blue, and then it gets red as it goes above, and then it gets pink as it goes really above, essentially in the cones. So, all right, that's this part of the formula editor. And then as we scroll down, it talks about pre-existing formulas. All right. You have your operations. So here, what your operations are in C programming language for it. You don't have to be a math wizard for any of this. It's pretty standard stuff. I'm no genius. All right. But I've been able to figure out a lot of this on my own, just from the documentation that we have here. And then down here, you've got some different codes that you can look at. All right. So here's some data that exists within the system here. So, day of the week, you could put in for a code. All right, your today's highs, today's lows, your pre-market high, your pre-market low. All right, if you want volume in shares instead of just volume in percents, here are your different ones up to 30 minutes. So this is your shares per minute, 1 minute, shares per minute, 5 minutes, shares per minute, 10 minutes, shares per minute, 15, and 30. All right. Here are your different SMA codings, the raw codings that exist for the SMAs on different time frames that exist within the system. And the only thing that's not really in there already is this volume per share. Everything else is already in your cloud already. It's just, for example, the code that I took 2 different ones of these and I put them against each other. And that's how that worked. So for example, that's what this code looks like in the formula editor here. If we come back, where is it? Cross on the, here we go. So 520 cross, I called it. And I took a 20 SMA on a 5-minute chart and a 5-minute SMA on a 5-minute chart. All right. And I just put them minus each other here. And then I started plugging in values. I just guess and check till I got what I wanted on a top list with just those SMAs. All right. Hi, Chris. Not sure I asked this for. If I'm using a 2-minute wide range alert, can I somehow only make it show me a red wide candle? We don't have access to time and sales. It's volume. It's not time and sales, Robert. There's a difference. We're not showing how many shares went through on a specific sale. We're just saying how many shares were traded over 1 minute. We don't know what each buy and sell was. We just know how many shares were traded over that time, not the actual sale of each one of those or buys of each one of those. So again, Mike, make it show me a wide red candle. If I am using 2-minute wide range alert. Trying to think here for you there, Mike. It's not an alert I've used in the past. Let me move this out of the way. New alert window. Let's get rid of these filters. Search 2-minute. Wide range. Add that alert. And let's do this. Help. What do you tell me? Help. This is not an alert I've used. I don't have an answer for you on that, Robert, how we get the block trade data. If you shoot an email to here, so I can remember, and I'll ask the people that handle that. Info at trade ade-ideas.com. You shoot me an email there to remind me about that, and I am going to get an answer for you on that. 2-minute wide range. And it tells you when range was much greater than the average. The alert is available 215-minute more options listed below. That doesn't tell me exactly what I wanted to know in here. All right, what happens if we put a $1 in here? Let's see what this looks like. Let's see, wide range is also going to be relative to the price of the stock. Create alert, sorry. Time frame. Yeah, of course, Robert. You got me curious now on that one. I came in at 4 o'clock. Huh. So I guess that bar is wider than, let's look at that bar or the whole thing. I'm going to go through the history of this. Not duplicate. History today. Why is that a wide range bar though? You know, Mike, I'm going to have to take a look at this a little more. Yeah, I don't think you can make it for a red or green candle specifically. But I'm also like, why is that a wide range? That doesn't make sense to me. Okay, that's what I was wondering. I thought it was looking at the bar before it, but I just wasn't 100% sure on that. Is there a way to make it red? I would say look for add a position and range to it. You'd have to use filters to do it, but I don't think there's a way to do it. A way to do it outright. Just out of curiosity, what happens if we use a negative number in here? But I think maybe if you look for stocks that are already falling, that might be your solution. Holy cow. No, putting the negative number wouldn't do it. Yeah, I don't think it's having any bearing on it. So I think what you'd have to do is look for stocks that have been falling, essentially, is what you're going to have to do. That would be my suggestion to you. Maybe use the change filter in 15 minutes or something like that, so you can see stuff that is going down over the last 15 minutes or maybe 5 minutes. Change. Oops. Maybe use one of these guys here in combination with it. Add filter. Let's see. Stocks that are minus 1%. Let's do it like this. Stocks with price down, stocks with flat. Oh, I didn't change that back. On that negative number here, let me change that back. Just put a 1. Let's use a 1 there. No, I mean I don't see an option for it, and the alerts are hard coded, so there's no manipulating that. Take a look at the last few alerts that would have come through here. And I will have to wrap up for the day. A red bar before, but didn't end on a red bar. Same. Ending on 2 red bars. Red bar before. Let's go back a little bit here and take a look at a few of these here. Ending on a couple of red bars. Yeah, I think that's the direction. You have to mess with the filters a little bit. Wow, Sam Adams crushed. What the heck happened to them? Well, $1,000 and almost $1,000 off the high. Well, 800 and change off the high from the spring. Good Lord. Nobody's drinking Sam Adams anymore, I guess. All right, so Mike, I think using that 5 minute, you maybe use a 2 minute and put a 0 in the maximum. See what that gives you. So, all right, yeah, Robert, if you send that in, I'm going to Sam had to dilute more. Yeah, I guess something. That was a heck of a chart. So yeah, I'm sorry, Robert. If you send that in, I'm gonna find out where we get the block trades from on how that works for you. So, all right, everybody, thanks for popping in. Thanks for joining. I know it was a little slow moving on some of that towards the beginning, but I was trying to really work around getting you something close to that cross and giving you guys an idea of how you can build your own cross alerts on that. So, all right, we'll get back at it tomorrow and we'll do it all over again. So, all right, thanks for joining, everybody. We'll see you at 3:30 tomorrow. Take care. Have a great evening.